Hello there, welcome to Thursday night's tasting with me, Jim Coleman, and from Aberdeen, Stephen McConnachie. We'll be tasting 4 bottles. They've all been sold and sold out, so here's hoping that maybe 1 or 2 of you might have one of the bottles we're tasting tonight and can join in. You want to say hello, Stephen?
Evening all, evening Jim, thanks for that. Looking forward to the festivities tonight with a few drams.
Good. So we're starting off with me. I am going to be tasting 6844, Encounter with the Exotic. An 8-year-old Highland from just up the A9. If anyone has a bottle of that and it's opened, why don't you join us and let us know what your thoughts and tastings are. I took the opportunity a couple of days ago of having a wee taste and scribbling down some of my notes on Encounter the Exotic. They vary a little bit from the tasting panel, but that's the way it should happen. Everyone should be different in their tastes and their noses. The main thing I got on the nose was sweet oak and orange peel were the 2 main aromas that I got. I get a slight hint of like an old-fashioned whiskey. And I think that's just coming from the oak. The taste, again, is quite varied. Almost so easy on its own without water for an 8-year-old. And it's sitting relatively high at 57.3% alcohol. On the palate, I've got, it's spicy but very smooth. Spicy but very smooth. I've got fresh ginger, the ginger spice, grated over chocolate. A bit of cinnamon, an orange citric burst. A lot happening here. There's crispy bacon, very crispy, almost burnt bacon. And I find it's salty, but it's not dry. It's not dry in any way. Quite a dram, actually. And I think it was when it was on sale, it was less than £50. Cracking dram for that. Cracking dram for that. On the finish, it's a medium finish. It's got a mouthfeel of vanilla ice cream coating the mouth, and a mild spice of like a puff of white pepper and fresh ginger. Yes, a nice one indeed.
Great place to start.
Yes. And we're not finished yet.
We're hearing that there's actually some bottles of that available, according to reliable sources.
Good. And again, I think something like £48.50 or something a bottle.
Yeah.
You won't go wrong with that. You will certainly not go wrong with that.
It's funny what you said about it being an old-fashioned whiskey. I think it's typically the distillery itself lends itself to that character, but it also works well in an old-fashioned, I tend to find.
All right, okay.
Nice old-fashioned cocktail. Yeah.
Like an old-fashioned. Do like an oldfashioned.
Oh, yes.
Would I put a single malt in it? Cask strength? Don't know.
I always find there's much debate about that, but you know, when you put good food in when you're cooking, you do the same with your drinks.
Well, they say if you don't drink the wine, you shouldn't cook with the wine. You know, if you don't enjoy drinking the wine, you should always use that wine when you're cooking. But again, I would be tempted to go to one of the Society's blends to do my cocktails.
Mm. Yeah, Big Swirl was good for that.
Yes, because they're a wee bit less in alcohol, and probably cheaper as well. So that's my first offering of the day. I'll pass you now over to Stephen, who's going to let you know all about his first choice for today. All yours, Stephen.
Cheers, Jim. I see Stephen Buse has ordered a bottle and he's not opened it yet. And it's delivered, so just now is as good a time as any to open it, don't you think, Jim?
Yes, by all means.
Crack on. Excellent. So the one I've got here is the 95.41, which is Blackbeard's Barbecue. 11 years old. So the two I'll be covering are Speyside whiskies, but two total opposite ends of the spectrum from Speyside. This one in the dry, so the deep, rich and dried fruits character. You can see that. We shouldn't judge by colour, but you can see that with the colour. Lovely long legs as well. 11 years old, 58.7% strength. I've done my own tasting notes like yourself, Jim, as well as we've got the Society's ones, which talk about the burst of apples and raisins stewed in Calvados, which absolutely, definitely get that Calvados sort of nose to it. But for me, there's enticing spices, there's char siu pork, and I definitely get on the label the Jamaican ginger cake. I think that's absolutely spot on. The touch of treacle toffee, caramelized brown sugar, hint of cloves and almonds as well. There's a lot going on with this. It spent 9 years in a hoggy, an ex-bourbon hoggy, and then finished the last sort of 2 years in a first fill barrique STR, shaved, toasted, and recharred. And the taste. Big, thick, rich mouth coating, sort of gingery, peppery mouthfeel as well. Nutty, almost dry, dry roasted peanuts sort of character to it, and a touch of cinnamon just at the back there. Really, really full-on whiskey without being too powerful. It just hits the spot for me. And Stephen Buse has got his glass now. No, it's 35. It's not the 68.
Oh.
Evening, Awana. Hope you've got a dram or a glass of wine in your hand. And Ali Kam is on the umami heaven. That was I remember tasting that and very much enjoying it. And you've got the 108 lined up. Excellent. Excellent. It's a different 108 than the one that we've got, but it'll potentially be the same sort of character that we come to at the end, which I think Jim's going to share a dram of the 108 at the end as well, because you're a big peat freak.
Bottle in the last outturn. I do particularly like that distillery and its varied offshoots, should I say?
Which one? The last one?
Yeah, the 108.
108. Yeah, it's. I think it's the characteristics, what they can produce, the different styles. I think lends itself really well. You would not initially pick it out as a Speyside, just outside of Dufton. So in terms of the finish, the finish on this whiskey was long, a gentle linger that would sit just in the side of the cheeks and just work its way down. It does work well with a touch of water, but personally don't think it needs it. But it's a bit of a nosing whiskey, this one.
Great name as well, Blackbeard's Barbecue.
Yeah, it really is. And the funny thing was with this whiskey and the last whiskey, we've got very much this barbecue type theme, with the smokiness of the last one and the barbecue character of this. A water added, a roasted nutty character, perfect for taste, but it softens it and takes away a bit of the character. And I put a side note of it tastes like alcoholic peanut butter.
There you go. Smooth and crunchy.
Who knew? I think it was probably more crunchy because I'm more of a crunchy peanut butter type.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. And see what comments we got. So who's Stephen Fisher's sipping at the 46.71? Probably similar in character, actually. Yeah. Do quite like a 46 or a 64. Fantastic. What's the last 95 you had, Jim?
The last 95. I can't remember, actually. It's one that I do like. I find that I don't most of them sherried.
Yeah, their character lends between the sherry cask and the American oak. They don't typically deviate too much between like the wines or the cognacs, other sort of barriques.
Well, was it last year or the year before? I was on a press trip with Sheavis Brothers, and they took me around 4 of the distilleries that the public are not normally allowed in. And that was one of them.
Was that a Speyside tour?
Yes. Well, Speyside Whisky Festival, we were covering.
Nice.
So we did 4 of Sheavis's that you don't normally go into. Almost not normally go into. And the old one built in the 50s as you first drive into Speyside. Right-hand side with all the concrete, marble, begins with a T. That's an amazing looking building, absolutely amazing. But the minute you open the doors, it's industrial.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the 95.
Yeah, very much so. Was it not built in the 70s? It was built in 72, started producing whiskey in 74, bottled the first one in 78, I remember reading. Yeah, key component to a blend, I think, this distillery, sadly.
Yes. Well, quite a few of the Pernod Ricard or Sheavis Brothers distilleries are lending themselves to blends. The Ballantine's blends, the Sheavis selection, etc., etc. So it's very rare to get. I've only come across one distillery bottling of the 95 in a wee square bottle, maybe a year ago. Still not opened it right enough, but some of them you can't get distillery bottlings of. Or they're very rare. They're predominantly, like ourselves, independent bottlers that are bottling them. Yeah,
the beauty of the society, and that gives us these wee gems that we can talk about here. Did you add water to the first one?
Yes. It just smooths it right out. It just when it was neat, it's a sipping whiskey. You would just sit there and spend a wee while sipping that straight whiskey. Adding the water, you're able to take a wee bit bigger sip, and it goes down quicker. But it does ease off any wee rough edges, but there was not a lot of edges in that one. I've got 95. No, I've got the 10. Is it 10? I've got the 108 Flora and Fauna.
Won't be many of those. So I added the water to this and just let it breathe for just a minute or two there, and it has really sort of opened it up. It's given more of a viscousy feel across the mouth, and probably more cinnamon, gingery, nutmeg sort of characters coming through now. Just giving that time for the alcohol to go down a bit. Softens the nose very much. Yeah, I think I'll leave some of that, and we can come back to once we've done the 4 and see how they've changed over the period. I
usually do that myself, even in tastings. Ask them to leave just a couple of drops in the bottom of each glass, because when they go back, it does change. The whiskies do change, you know.
Yeah.
So I'll now move on to my second one. 11267, called Raisin Cane. It's a 19-year-old Highland. Initial cask was an ex-bourbon hogshead, and then they moved into a first fill toasted barrique. Like that sound?
Oh, love that sound. Love that sound.
So this one evoked lots of things. It's got that, if you can see it very well, but it's got that slight pink hue to it from the, I presume it's a red wine barrique to give you that pinkness. This is a 19-year-old, and it's still relatively, it's 55.4%. So even after 19 years, it's had to have been quite a sturdy cask to maintain that level of alcohol. So this one is just, I can't say how much delightful it is. It's a wonder. I can't thank Andrew enough for sending me this one. It's on the nose, peaches and cream, pears, prunes, toffee, and even mincemeat pies.
Ooh, Christmas whiskey.
Without a doubt, it is. And this is one I don't know whether to hide it away in the cupboard for Christmas Day, albeit I've got one up on the shelf that I've meaning to bring out at Christmas. I can't remember what the distillery is, but it's a 25-year-old, and it's called Christmas Day in the Morning. So that's one I'm thinking about. This might overtake it as Christmas's dram. If you put any more than a wasp wing of water in it, you'd be doing it an injustice. It is so delightful. It's got a buttery mouth coating. It's if you can think of syrup, drizzling syrup over a Victorian sponge cake, that's close on where you are. It's got gentle, soft wood like cedar and balsa wood. I'm waxing real lyrical about this one. It's just outstanding. I've got plump sultanas and raisins. It's a little drying. And I've marked down here, it's an ideal Christmas dram. And if it wasn't 19 years old and so nice, this is one you can actually pour over your Christmas pudding. Light on Christmas Day. But if you're doing that, it's got to be a wee dribble out of pipette or something. You couldn't put a full dram over it. It's a long finish, and my finish notes on it was it's full of festive treats and taste. So it's festive treats and taste. Raisin cane, deep, rich and dried fruits. 19 years old. It's if you get down to any of the venues, Stephen, get them to give you a sniff now.
I'm actually salivating right here just with the thoughts and reading it and hearing your words. That's my kind of flavor profile that I love. I love the peaty smoky stuff. I love going the other end of the spectrum, and that's just salivating. I'm
slightly off some of the sherry bombs as being just too heavy, but this being in a red wine barrique's a lot lighter. But you're still getting some of that Christmas cake and all these sort of flavors from it. Now I'll do the unthinkable and add a splash of water. But yeah, teardrop or a
real nosing whiskey by the sounds of it.
I'd be tempted even less than a teardrop of water. It's 2 drops out of a pipette or something. But it's nice a whiskey from the society I've tasted a wee while. Of that ilk, I, like yourself, Stephen, I am really into my peated, certainly Islay whiskies. And the majority of them are all bourbon casks anyway. So that just suits my palate down to a T. But this one is, hand your glass up and I'll pour some in.
Yeah. If only that was true. I'd love this to be an actual real tasting in person, but sadly the current situation we're in.
But yes, my second one is outstanding.
I think just how you've described it, it would be one that I wouldn't want to add any water to, because it sounds like it's just perfectly balanced. You know, it's one of those ones that you put your nose in, you go, oh, that's just sublime. It just fills you with inner happiness.
But as a tasting, you've got to add that wee splash of water just to find out what it's doing to it. But it's not making it any easier and any better with a wee splash of water.
Yeah.
You've got to keep it neat, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And sip it slowly. So Christmas isn't that far away.
Yeah. Yeah. As Awana says, Christmas is coming.
Yes.
And hopefully 2021 comes quicker.
If the government will allow it to come, they might cancel it.
Yeah, very true. Any cigar pairings? I think Vlad Rachula earlier on had said having a Monte Cristo with it, I think would be a really good, it's a nice sort of medium, not too heavy cigar. Elegant would go well with it. Although a heavy Maduro style might go well with the last whiskey that we come to, as it's got a bit more body, a bit more oomph, a bit more rugged masculineness, if you can say that nowadays. Yeah. So shall we move to the last whiskey and we recap on the four of them?
Yes, I'm going to be happy to joining you in this one.
Fantastic. What was the price point of that last one, Jim?
I think it was around the £100 mark. Again, it's 19 years old. It's single cask. Not bad out, 228.
Yeah.
But that's out of Hawkshead. That one's sold out, so people have obviously tasted that before they've bought it.
Yeah, I think you alluded to earlier on, it's worth popping in past some of the society venues because sometimes the bottles are still hanging around for a variety of reasons. The
place that surprises me the most is Bass Street.
Yeah.
They've got bottles there that the vault sold out of months and months ago. But I, at one point, tried to get them at the vaults, couldn't get them, and walk in Bass Street, and they've got cases of them.
It's bizarre. I'm reliably informed that that little birdie keeps telling me in the ear that there's a £82.50 is the bottle for price for Raisin Cane.
Is that all it was?
So even better, even better.
By who?
Just a little birdie. So if we move on to this last one here, the KILN full of kippers, 108.26. You get that initial pang of peat, and initially you wouldn't necessarily think you're in the region of Speyside. You wouldn't think at all that you're just outside Dufton from where this is made. 1975 distillery was built, so it's relatively new. But you get the peat smoke, you get a slight mineral, sort of charcoal smell. It reminds me very much of my grandma's fireplace. Don't know why. It's just got that smell. Quite phenolic, touch of pine as well, and almost the smell of mackerels on a barbecue. Yeah. And that I think, Jim, you've just touched on it right there with this whiskey. So it is 64.8% strength, and it is 7 years old. Which, okay, we don't judge it by age, but if you look at the age and then you go to the nose, there's actually a lot going on in the nose. It's very complex for its years, but it's almost a Jekyll and Hyde, because the nose and the taste are the nose lends you into seduction, and then it's just really peppery, spicy, fiery almost on the middle part. I put big, bold, punchy. It's got a kick in a good way. The nose deceives you. Youthful, raw aggression. And a strange one. What was it? Salt and pepper crispy chicken. If you've ever had that before,
Right. Well, my
on the taste.
nose on it was light on the nose. Had to find some of the smoking peat, but I'm sitting well back from the seashore and walking into a dentist surgery. But there is so much in the palate. Wow.
Yeah, it's got that fireplace feel, that soot and char and coal, and it's just yeah.
Stephen, have you been reading my tasting notes?
No, why? Your tasting notes?
My tasting notes.
No, I've did my own. Do my own. Why is it similar?
Very much so. Well, I've got the taste contain certainly brings out a pepperness. Then the smoke comes alive. Soot from a coal-fired chimney.
Yeah.
Ardbroth smoky fish cakes.
Great minds think alike, Jim. That we're very much on the same sort of wavelength there.
But that's an outstanding dram. And anybody tasting that for the first time, and you ask them for a region, they would not say Speyside. No,
no, absolutely not. Even to the trained enthusiasts, you wouldn't necessarily pick the region straight away. There's a few, the 66 does that very, very well as well.
I've got the mid-month 66 coming. That's due the next day or two. I do quite like 66.
Yeah.
But wow, this is just outstanding as a smoky peaty whiskey as the Raisin cane was. And I can't believe a kiln full of kippers, 7 years old. And it's got that intensity.
Yeah, I think that it's a great example of age is only a number on the bottle, because that's got so much going on for its age. I'm trying to think. There was a 10 in the discovery pack, the gathering pack, and it was only, was it 5 or was it 6 years old, and it was just out of this world. It was stunning, gorgeous whiskey. Have you tried
one of them?
Yeah,
I'm not open. No. I'm going to say something. What it was. Yeah, when you're talking about age, right? Age is no guarantee of quality.
No.
Colour is no guarantee of quality. And price, albeit a consideration, is no guarantee of quality.
Well, this last one is the cheapest at $44.80, if I remember rightly. So absolute belter. And I'm hearing as well reliably from that little bird again that there is stock of the 112, the Raisin cane, in Leith and Glasgow.
All right. At 82 quid, form an orderly queue. Absolutely.
Shame I'm stuck up in Aberdeen. I don't think I've got an excuse to go to Glasgow or Edinburgh the next couple of days.
Well, shut.
Aye, true. Very true. You can still drop in past and buy the bottles, though, if I remember rightly.
Yes, you can. I think it's not only Queen Street that's doing the off sales. I'm not sure. I thought Queen Street was doing the off sales. I'm not sure. But you could always come by and take a wee look in at Whiskey Boys HQ and have a dram from the cabin. If you go onto the website, Stephen, or if you Google Whiskey Boys Cabin, you'll find some things. Some of the members that are on just now might have been to some tastings that I've done throughout Glasgow, the borders, and I've done one or two in Inverness. But I think as far as I go now is probably Dundee. You're doing everything north of Dundee?
I've done. I've got an Inverness one hopefully coming up on the 6th of November in person, which will be really exciting. The first one, and hopefully Aberdeen at the end of the month. But we'll just have to wait and see. It'll be obviously limited numbers and socially distanced and as safe as it can be. But yeah, it'd be good to get back out and do the actual physical tasting. First time since January.
Well, I'm booked for the 20th of November. I think there's a maximum of 15 allowed, and it is in Stirling Gin Distillery.
Ah, yes.
We're holding it in Stirling Gin. I've done one or two in there before.
Is Cameron joining you for the tasting?
Yeah, I think he did the last time.
Yeah.
Yes. His wife didn't.
No.
But a nice wee distillery. Unlike you tonight, Stephen, I've managed to taste 3 of the 4 drams that we've got on offer, and it's a coin toss between the 112 and the 108. I know how much I like peat, and that's second fill ex-bourbon. I don't know. One's 19-year-old and one's 7-year-old. You've just got to go, does your palate like it? 2 things only. Does your nose like it, and does your palate like it?
Yeah.
Is there anything else you need?
No, not at all. I mean, that's those for my two, the Blackbeard and the KILN Full of Kippers. They're 2 totally different whiskies. So it could be 2 totally different occasions that you would have that. The KILN Full of Kippers could be an outdoor, like you said, sort of fire pit, chimney, cold, wet, but
Yes.
you're sheltered. And as I might do later on, have I think it's a Nicaraguan cigar to go with it. A nice.
Not a cigar. My favorite, my favorite was sitting down with a dram is chocolate.
Dark or milk?
A mixture of both. I put both in the same wee pot, and a lucky dip of what you get. So you've either got the new Cadbury's one out, the milk but dark. That's a cracking chocolate to have. So I don't know about you, Steve. I'm going to go back into my 68 just to see. Becomes sweeter. Then I've got my battle between the 112 and the 108. That Raisin cane's something else. You need to phone up Andrew or get Andrew to put a bottle aside for you. Or include it in your next tasting.
That's a good shout. That is a good shout.
Get him to put that in the next tasting.
So the Blackbeard's barbecue with the water didn't need it. It's not really added. It's not taken away. It's maybe just softened it slightly. But yeah, good dram all round. Of the 2, I'd probably say that the KILN Full of Kippers would be my favourite from the 2 that I have here. Just being a sucker for that smokiness. If ever I'm away on holiday and I want to be reminded of home, I'll usually have a peaty smoky whiskey, and it just reminds you that smell of being back in Scotland.
This is some saying 11267. Raisin cane is almost like an Irish or a lowland whiskey, which it is not. So either it's different yeast or perhaps organic. Can experts please confirm? Well, I don't think any of the society whiskies are classed as organic. And I do enjoy an Irish whiskey, but I've always found that Irish whiskey has got an underlying taste of sweetness.
Yeah.
I don't know where the lad's getting this Raisin cane is.
It could be that it's an organic yeast that's been used in the process.
Possibly.
Interesting that is it Suriakaran? Hopefully I pronounced that right. You've maybe picked that up on the nose, but yeah, very well done. So I suppose we'll have to think about wrapping it up, Jim.
Oh, do we have to?
I know it's a shame because yeah, could go on and on and on, and just throw in some more whiskies, and you know, I'm sure you've got a few in the back there that you could crack open and
oh yeah,
for a while.
Quite a collection of society stuff. That stuff up above my head, that shelf is 3 deep. So I don't know. I've got 60, 70 society bottles unopened.
Nice party at yours.
Yes. And quite a few number ones that I've collected over the years. So yes, whiskey's been good to me now that I've well and truly retired and reached my old age. I am enjoying my whiskey. I just wish I could get back into going to the venues.
Yeah, soon enough.
And the killer from me, I just stay just outside Falkirk, and about 20 yards up the road is a bus stop, which takes me one way into Glasgow, and then I am 5-minute walk from the bus station to Bath Street, and the free bus pass, great. If I want to go to the vaults, I've got to get the bus into Falkirk, the train to Waverley, and then the 22 down to the vaults, and the same coming back. But the vaults is still the place I hold dearest.
Yeah, the ancestral home.
Yes. I worked there for 3 or 4 years. Staff are great. Members that come in, some members became drinking buddies and friends. Yeah, a great place to be. And if any members are watching that have friends that enjoy drinking their whiskey, you should actually get them a guest membership for Christmas so they can buy whiskey and you can drink theirs for a wee change.
That sounds a plan. Christmas is upon us, and the new release will be out middle of November for the big release.
Big release, yes. I've had a wee preview of it. I'm from Falkirk, living in Spain. It's between Bonnybridge and Kilsyth. It's Longcroft. That's where I stay. We're running over time here, I think, Stephen.
Yeah, I think we might have to wrap it up before we get cut off, like an award ceremony at the BAFTA.
You'll get
we're getting the hook.
You'll get the hook coming out.
Exit stage left, sort of thing. Yeah. Well, it's been a pleasure chatting, even if it's virtually, with guys, and good catching up with you, Jim, and going through the whiskies.
Yes, and enjoyable, and hopefully the next time it'll be across a table or next to one another, leaning on a bar.
Yeah, I'll drink to that.
Okay. Cheers now.
Cheers all. Cheers, Jim. Slàinte mhath.